Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Gulfstream Park on this picture-perfect Sunday afternoon. The track is fast, turf is firm, and Tapeta is always fast. I am Samantha, joined with Angela here. We are recovering from an incredible Fountain of Youth Day yesterday.
Absolutely, from start to finish, 14 races worth of very competitive racing, and we have a follow-up today in the form of a mandatory pick six payout.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge day. It's going to be more than 6 million estimated in the gross jackpot. I can imagine getting it upwards of 8 to 10 here. It's a very competitive sequence as well, Angela.
I mean, impossible has been used to describe it a couple of times. Now, there's some scratches along the way that did change my views on certain races, both leading up to it and in the pick six sequence. But when you start from the back and work your way forward, you're like, oh, they might get smaller, they might get easier. No, not the case. It's an incorporation of a lot of surfaces, a lot of different class levels. So whatever your specialty is, maybe take a long look at those, try to narrow it down, because you're not going to be able to in the rest of the legs of it.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that in a little bit when we get to that race. And Ron will have a ticket. He's not here today. He just worked so hard yesterday that he decided to take today off. But we've got myself, Claudia, Angela, and Brian all here to guide you through this card today. And we'll go ahead and jump into race number 1. This is going to be a competitive one as well. It's 1 mile on our firm turf course here today, and maiden $20,000 level horses here. And, you know, I felt like this was a very wide open race. Let's take a look at Brian's early pick 5 ticket and let's see which way he went here. And I'll let you talk on his behalf.
Well, it looks like he went 1-2. I know the 2-1 is the actual order for him. Empire Attraction, his top choice, likely to be your favorite throughout the betting, as he is right now. We'll go more into that in a second. But moving on to race number 2, spreads. This is one of 2 7-furlong maiden claimers, 3, 5, and 8 for Brian. Adios, Your Honor should be a pretty strong favorite in that one. Bullet on tap and Pearl in the rough for him. I believe he did take Pearl in the rough on top. This is going for a new barn off a layoff. Lots of changes in play for her. Spreads in race number 4, no surprise there. Your morning line favorite, who was probably going to be one of the heavier favorites of the day. She was my best bet.
Yeah.
She's out, Queen Karima. So he spreads around in race number 4, 3, 6, 12, and 13. Honing in on Your Inheritance in race number 5. That's the single that leads to the $24 pick 5 ticket from Brian.
It's a solid one, too. Just too deep in the opener here. And I'll go ahead and kick it off, Angela. The number 1, Mo Vanishing. A first-time starter breaking from the rail. It's never really a spot that you want to be. We've got a work replay here of this horse coming from the Jonathan Thomas barn. Just a little bit end of the stretch work here for this 1 mile horse. Now, this guy's in the inside here. He's just working comfortably along his workmate Experience. Now, Experience kind of looks like he gets the best of him here, and this is a heavy track this day. And think about it. They are going a mile here, Angela. This horse just kind of pulls away again, which you like to see. He's a bit one-paced, but I think for this 1 mile turf course distance, this should be a solid fit for him.
Right, if you think you have a one-paced horse, this is what you want them to do eventually. I mean, sometimes you give them a start at a sprint, but Jonathan Thomas is very good at starting these horses out, going 2 turns. In fact, I did pull a stat on Jonathan Thomas, starting horses out, going a route of ground, and they're very good. Mo Vanishing is going to try to follow in this pattern that you see on the screen, 17 for 84 over the last 5 years. That's 20%. That's a solid $2.27 ROI, and Mo Vanishing fits into a category even smaller that you could narrow down with maiden claimers. He's 4 for 16, starting them off for a tag. They're going for a win right away, and Jose Ortiz is going to be aboard for him. They haven't missed the board with their turf starters, all meat, and this family is all turf too. Lots of things to like about him. That's why we both took him. Now, Brian took the 2 Empire Attraction, but you used him a little further down.
Yeah, I did. The number 7 Shaw 10 coming from the B & Combe barn. I just like the rider switch here to I Ride Ortiz. I think he'll be a little bit more aggressive with this horse here. Yeah, he's had his chances. He's had 5 of them already, but I think he's catching a field here today that maybe the experience edge will play out a little bit more towards him. And the number 2 Empire Attraction, I understand Brian using this horse on top. This is another one that's got a little bit of experience.
And he just missed last time around, got run down late, but did so as the favorite and did so off a layoff. Now he has the seasoning edge. You know that he can do what he's being asked to do today. So That's why he's your 8-5 favorite. No surprise to see the money going this way.
Most definitely. Race number 2 here. This is the start of the early pick 4. I have a ticket put together here for us. 1350, going 3 by 3 by 3 by 1. And this race here we'll get to in just a moment. Race number 3, 7 furlongs, fillies and mares, non-winners of 2 races. Bullet on Tap is my top pick. This is the last time I am playing this filly. I always get on the wrong end of her. And race number 4, a very competitive 5 furlong sprint here, and we do have an also eligible drawing in, but that 13 post position is tough going 5 furlongs, Angela, so I kind of strayed away, and my anchor is Your Inheritance, which that's kind of funny to keep saying that. I'm not betting anybody's inheritance away. Maybe, yeah, not going to do that. Race number 2, though, in this spot here, another kind of a field with some question marks.
Well, yes, and it is the maiden claimer going 7 furlongs,
Right.
so you don't know who's really going to be good at this, but a horse that has shown an aptitude to go towards the front and likes the main track here is good enough to make your favorite, and that'll be Adios Your Honor.
Yep.
Now, I used Adios Your Honor on top. You used a firster Great Costas on top. Tell me why you like him, and then I have to unfortunately pull up something on Amador Sanchez that drew me away from him.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me. This is a barn that hasn't been as hot as of late here. Got a work replay just at Gulfstream Park just because I wanted to see how this horse traveled and show you all as well. Now, he is working on the outside here, and this horse, Roman Flame, kind of had the best of him for quite a bit. Great Costas, though, I like the way he just kind of tried to go with him a little bit. Now, he shortens up a bit around the turn, which you don't really like to see, but again, they're going 7 furlongs. It's not like he's going to have to need a quick little switch of foot here. I think he's going to be a bit of a grinding type, and yeah, I like the fact that he's been working locally. I just don't trust Adios Your Honor.
That's fair. And I just took Adios Your Honor as the likely to be early leader, or at least up in the mix of things. And you don't know exactly what to expect from the 6. You see the blinkers on him. They've done some work with him in the morning, but I did pull Amador Sanchez's last 5 years of starting horses out, and they frankly aren't very good. They're 1 for 44, 2%, not a great ROI. And among those 44, 25 of them started off for a tag and none of them won. Only 2 of them hit the board. Now, going against this field, I understand why you would want a fresh face. You know, you look up and down the line, and anything that's run, yeah, they just didn't blow you away.
Yeah.
But if he backs up those numbers, maybe a little bit further down the road will be the point where he cashes.
Yeah, and you can only hope here. And the number 4, Natural Vibes, I think that we just have to mention these Gervins have been so precocious as of late, taking a nice drop in class. He's gelded, which you like to see, or I prefer to see. And this is a barn, Jose Pinchin, who's actually kind of caught a bit of a streak here.
Yeah, they've been heating up lately. It's been a good with limited numbers.
Right.
I mean, you can see it, and they are dropping this horse out of much tougher company. I could see you making a case for Natural Vibes. I just didn't have the room to fit him in, I guess.
Yeah.
But Natural Vibes also didn't have any speed. Now, of course, dropping into these sorts of horses should bring more out of him, but with some questions to him at a shorter price, I went a different direction. But I do like to see, yes, that he is already been gelded, and you know, a lot of guys might do their job and have a little more focus if they were. So Natural Vibes might be on the board with that. Going on to race number 3.
Yep. You said it best. 7 furlongs. It's a tricky distance as well here. And we've got another one in race 3. It's non-winners of 2 lifetime. And this is a race where I put Bullet on top. And this is the last time I'm going to do this with this filly. This is a filly for the Liz Doble's barn that in the mornings is an absolute superstar. She trains like a beast. Elizabeth always brings her out first or second set. I've watched her work. I've actually stopped Liz Doble's and I've asked her, hey, who is that? And the last 3 or 2 times since they claimed this horse, I have not cashed at the betting window. And I've asked Elizabeth, well, you know, what's the deal with this filly? And she's like, I have no idea. There's something wrong with her. She trains like a champion, but she just can't put it together in the races. So we'll see what we get about her here. In her last race, I want to excuse it a little bit, though, Angela, because she was on the rail and she took a lot of dirt. And fillies, they can be tricky sometimes. They don't I wouldn't like dirt in my face either.
No, me neither.
So, we'll see what we get from her here. I don't trust her, but like I said, I think she's got the ability. It's just a matter of getting it all together here. And the number 5, pardon me, who you have on top of Pearl in the Rough, this is another barn who can do nothing wrong right now.
They've been very, very sharp, and with their new acquisitions as well.
Yeah.
Pearl in the Rough is one that they've had for a while too, so they've had some time to get to know her, work her out, and find a spot that they thought would be best for her. Now, sticking with one turn but shortening up a furlong looked good to me. She does come from off the pace. I thought maybe your filly Bullet on Tap, all of her better races have come on the front end,
Right.
was stacked with some of the other speed on the inside. So that led me to Pearl in the Rough with hopefully a new look to her. Maybe she can shake that second and third itis that she had developed before she went to the bench. And I thought the Pearl in the Rough was kind of the new face, like when you took the first or in the last
Right.
race. If you're looking for something outside of these horses who have faced each other in the past, she fits the bill. So Pearl in the Rough won't be a big price, but I think that we might see an improved filly and a filly that likes doing this, 7 furlongs as opposed to a one-turn mile.
Exactly, and for coming back on a bit of a layoff as well, it's always a good little starting point to kind of see what you have fitness-wise.
Definitely.
Race number 4, a maiden special weight, 5 furlongs on the turf course here. The rails are at 56 feet here for this race, so far outside here, or running to the middle of the course. So these far outside horses, they could potentially have some trouble. There were a couple scratches. Scratch the 2 out of this spot, scratch the 10. The 13 draws in, and note that jockey Luis Saez does ride the 3. So Irad will retain the mount on the 13 here, My Sweet Affair for George Weaver, and Luis Saez does ride the number 3. And you went straight for the outside there.
Well, I had the 2. She was my best bet of the day, Queen Karma, but she's out, and she was going to probably be the pace setter for a good part of the way. But you've seen My Sweet Affair, I would assume, at least some of the works. What do you make of this filly? If you took away the outside post, would she be somebody that you'd use in the mix, or does that just completely knock her off the board for you? What do you think of this filly now that she does draw in? How will she affect both the pace and the overall race?
Yeah, it's hard to tell because when you look at her work tab from Palm Beach Downs, there are some solid works. But what I really like about this filly, Angela, is that she was working at Saratoga over the summer. And this is something that I kind of harp on quite a bit. It's easier to get a horse ready the second time versus the first time. So they had her in the stable there at Saratoga over the summer. She worked on the turf course on the Oklahoma training track there. So she had a foundation already. She went to the sidelines from mid-July to December. And, these are young horses. They're growing up. Sometimes they can just get small things that they just need to be put on the shelf for a little bit here. She's come back up Palm Beach Downs. Fantastic, just solid string of works. And, maybe with the scratch here of the horse that certainly looked like the one to beat, My Sweet Affair with Irad, he's very good at working out a trip. Anybody else I would worry, but this is a rider who knows how to get to the winner's circle.
Yeah, he did it earlier this week from the 11 hole. Granted, not going 5 furlongs, that's asking a lot, but still, if she does have that speed that she's shown in the morning, I think this filly should be able to at least move over a touch. She won't be stuck out in the 10 path or something by the time they hit the turn. Hopefully she can get over and show what she's really made of. But I do like that outside draw for some reasons, just to be able to track where he can go. Even if he does need to come from just off the pace, he can keep an eye on everything that's going on to his left and not worrying about being smushed between horses, which can happen in a short race that's full. But it is a lot because I took the 12 second. I mean, I'm sticking towards the outside of the gate. I went 13-12. I had the 10 and third, but I'm going to add in the 8 on top of the 3 Stolen Future. I'm using a lot of inexperience with a Minnesota bred on bottom. I mean, how can I go wrong?
Yeah. And the number 3 Stolen Future here, Mark Cassie, he's very good with these little 5 furlong sprints here. He took a win on Friday afternoon, I believe, with a sprint on the grass here. Now, this horse has been training at his training center in Ocala. This is a filly that she sold for $255,000, and she had a nice work at the OBS sale. I think that the DJ stable, they do an incredible job at picking out these types of horses, and this is a filly that could be serious, but we'll just see what we get here. You know, she's going to be drawn to the inside, and she could very well get lost in the shuffle that you keep alluding to.
Well, I mean, yeah, you pick your poison. Either you might lose
Exactly.
a little bit of ground or you might get shuffled back, but she does have some good win early breeding to her. You know, her dam has thrown a second and a third place finisher and 3 first-time starters, and the lieutenant is 2 for 13 as of me searching for him. But, you know, I don't think he's popped with 7 more first-time starters in the last day or two, but Stolen Future still has the right to be very good early. As you mentioned, she worked well at OBS. It's a mixed bag for me when they come back at 3 instead of racing at 2.
Right.
But if Stolen Future has any ounce of that, just like My Sweet Affair, if she's got some semblance of what she showed early, these two could put on a show.
They really could. Race number 5 here. This is 7 furlongs, a claiming $20,000 event on our fast main track here. And I think everybody's on the number 4, Your Inheritance. And, you know, I understand sometimes that in these wagers, your pick 4s, pick 5s, you want to throw out a horse naturally like this. Sometimes, if you have a strong opinion, you don't get a lot of value if you're using 2 or 3 different ones, including this horse. But honestly, I think this really is the filly to beat here.
Oh, definitely. And if nothing else, people will look at 13 for 24 together at Gulfstream, and these two just find a way to win with any kind of horse, too.
Exactly.
It doesn't just take one fit. It's not like it's just turf fillies. It's not like it's just dirt males.
Yeah.
All of them. They just perform. So Your Inheritance, drawing where she did, too. I thought maybe if she drew the rail, it could push her hand or she could get stuck, but she drew pretty well. And I think that she's going to be a single on an awful lot of pick 5s or pick 4s.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the logical filly here. And she's 4 years old, and she's still figuring things out. And it's not like they've tried to put this filly way in over her head. Rowan Crichton actually reclaimed her a few races back, so I think that that's a good indication of maybe her, if she had some kind of issues going on, I don't think the barn would have jumped back in for her again, so a very good sign. Now, the number 5, Elusive Molly, to her outside, Barry Croft, he is one that has also had a outstanding championship meet so far with a small sample, but this is a mare that we've kind of seen everything that she can do so far. Yes, she is taking a pretty aggressive drop in class, but is that enough?
I would think it would be enough to get her in the mix, but horses who get into the pattern of nibbling a little bit. Second, third, fourth, something like that. They get comfortable, and she comes from way off the pace. So I don't know if that's going to give her the necessary push, and I don't know if she's going to get the necessary pace, but she has to be included in the mix, at least from a vertical standpoint, just because of that class drop that you mentioned.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, it will be time to go over the Rainbow Six mandatory payout today. We'll be back in just a moment.
And they're off.
Back to Gulfstream today, Samantha Perry and Angela Herman guiding you through this card here on a mandatory payout pick 6 day. I've got a ticket thrown together as well as Ron. He'll have his up a little later, but 115.20 for me here, and this is going lightly here, Angela. Very tough sequence. We'll get to this race in just a moment. Race number 7, 7 furlongs on our fast main track. So many different ways you could go. My top pick, though, is the number 7, Blazingly. Another Jonathan Thomas first-time starter, hoping he'll have a nice day today. Race 8, the number 7 is my top pick, Dr. Ron, another Rohan Crichton, and Irad Ortiz special coming up. Hopefully, fingers crossed for that. In race number 9, The 8 is my top pick out of this Burning Man here. Race number 10, just 3 deep in this mile and 3/8 marathon distance, number 1. Another Jonathan Thomas horse, so I hope he has a good day today. And my anchor in the last is King's Secret coming from the Brendan Walsh barn. I think this filly should run a nice race today. 1:15.20 is the ticket, and like I said, that's really trying to cut down a lot here. And race number 6 here, Angela, mile and 3/8. We saw 2 of these races here yesterday, and but we can see here from the board that we're completely different. But let's go ahead and start with the 7, because you've got a stat on Grand Motion, and I also have this horse, but not as high up as yours.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. And she's trying something that she's never done before.
Right.
But we can look at Graham Motion and how he does second off the bench. And you can see 8 for 37, but a solid ROI to come with that. You know, I mean, 22% isn't way above average, but that ROI is very good. And that's second off a layoff on the turf just over the last couple of years, because he does have so many runners. I had to try to narrow it down to the last couple of years. And Ambitious, good luck, Pete, galloped out way past everybody on February 8th when she faced off against Princess Theorem, Glitter Up, and a very good bunch, I thought, for the level. And this filly just looked like she might need a little bit more. Maybe she needed more conditioning, maybe she needs more ground, but she gets both today, and I thought that the price would be pretty square on her.
Yeah, really well. And Princess Theorem ran 3rd in the Honey Fox yesterday as a late closing finish. So I think that this is a solid horse. I did include in the pick 6, and a nice stat as well. The number 4, Breaker of Chains. This is a mare who at 5 years old has only had 6 starts, but she's hit the board in 3 of those 6, which you do like to see. I like the longer the better for her. I'm hoping this second off the layoff angle will just kind of get her a little more fresh with her head in the game. But as you can see from our selections here, it's a very wide open race. These marathon distances can be quite tricky sometimes. Race number 7 here, 7 furlongs, maiden 12.5s. Scratch the number 1 out of this spot. That was actually my top pick here. And the number 7 is where I went blazingly, coming from the Jonathan Thomas barn. The Taprits, I've actually been a big fan of, Angela, as of late. I like this 7 furlong distance form. I like them even better on the grass. We'll see how this filly will just kind of mature as she gets on with her career. And the number 3, Valiant Miss, who you have on top, I think that this is this one could be gone goodbye once the starting gates open.
Oh, I would think so, especially with the scratch of a Prominencia on the inside. She was my top pick too. So I scratch into Valiant Miss, but I did have her last time, and Delta Red beat her very gamely, but that was her first try going a sprint distance on the dirt in quite some time. She hadn't done it since December of 2021. Maybe Valiant Miss is a better version of herself now, and she can build on that. Just make up that half length. That's all she needs to do, because you just don't know what you're going to get from the horses who are outside who are going to get bet. So at least I know what I'm working with Valiant Miss, and it's probably a short-priced horse, but a horse who is in the right position and has an edge in a lot of ways, including the pace, including the experience, including the draw.
It does. And I should note, this also does start a late pick 5 as well. So if something happens in the 6th race and you're out of your mandatory pick 6, $27 for me. Race 8, we've kind of briefly went over this, and we'll just keep going here. But my anchor again in the 11th race, King's Secret. I think this is a filly that could be very tough today. $27 here, but we'll get back to race number 8 now. And this is a mile and a 16th on our turf course. The rails are at 56 feet for this spot here, so the outside horses could have a little bit of trouble here. Just this claiming $20,000 level. And the number 7, this is a horse that we already mentioned with Irad and Rohan Crichton, that they do very well together. And this is just the second time for this colt to stretch out.
And he had some trouble, but before we get to this, there is a late pick 4 that starts in race number 8. We got horizontal sequences abound in here, and I'll be on the turf in the 8th. Then Brian put together the late pick 4 ticket today. And Brian's late pick 4 looks a little bit different than either one of our ideas, I believe, because he is all about race number 9, the 10 Veloce. That is his best bet of the day. That's the single in the pick 4. You and I will go over the 8th a little bit more. Lots and lots of coverage in the 10th. That one is the males counterpart to the females, mile and 3/8 optional claimer, 3, 5, and 7 for him in race number 11. That's how he sees the last. But let's get back to the 8th. This one is a mile and a 16th on the turf. I'm curious what you think the price will be on Gooch Go Bra. Gooch Go Bra is my long shot. He ran with Backchat a couple of times, who was also entered in this spot.
Yeah.
But Dr. Ron, and he looked similar to me on paper, but how do you pick these two apart? I know that you used him third, but they seem very close on paper to me.
Yeah, they do. And I was all about Gooch Go Bra last out with Jose D'Angelo. I wasn't a huge fan of the race necessarily that he ran. He looked like a different horse from when he won on January 15th here to now. And just as far as he never really picked up the bit, I just wasn't a huge fan of it. Now, he could turn things around. This is a barn that does well off the claim. But I just decided to kind of hit the brakes a little bit on him.
Fair enough. Yeah, they do exceptionally well off the claim, and that's what kind of swayed me to one rather than the other. But I see your points on Dr. Ron. I think he's going to be the horse to beat. And he's one of the lighter raced horses who has only won a couple of times instead of 2 for $1 million. So lots of reasons to like him. I think they'll be fairly similar on the board. But I thought that these were the main two contenders.
Race number 9, a claiming $10,000 event, a mile and a 16th on our Tapeta track here. There are no scratches or changes in this spot. A wide open race here. And I'll let you kick it off with the 10, and that is Brian's best bet of the day.
Yeah, Veloce ran a winning race last time, but it was his first start since December, his first start down from Woodbine. I know that you two talk a lot about horses getting a trip over this track when they first come down from Canada and how much it benefits them.
Definitely.
Veloce, I think, is in that pattern, right?
Completely, yes.
Yeah, and he was in the similar post last time, might get a similar trip.
Right.
And Edgar Zayas rode in that day, too. So if things set up the way that they did that day, today, I agree with him that I think Veloce is the horse to beat. I don't know if he's a single, but I mean, good luck, Brian. I just think that this is a more wide open race than that.
Yeah, and you have to give this horse some credit because Sandancer, who won that race for Timmy Hills, was dropping down to the lowest price of his career. He had never even sniffed the bottom of a $10,000 claimer event in his life or been close to it. So you have to give this horse some credit. It's an aggressive single, and you've got to do it on a day like today here, Angela. I went to the 8 here, Burning Man. I think that this is a horse that I like this a mile and a 16th distance, and also this is a horse who in 2021 was running in grade 3s at Woodbine. So a bit different competition there as far as the optional claimers go, but getting into this $10,000 level I think will be a good move here. Race number 10, last daily double of the day. That's the late double, a mile and 3/8 on the turf course here. Another marathon distance. This is, I know we were talking about yesterday that these races I have a really hard time with. I think it's the quarter horse in me.
The opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. But we've got some similarities. The number 10 here, Dripping Gold, Shugnagehi, coming off a bit of a layoff here. Does that worry you at all with going the mile and 3/8 distance?
I mean, it can't not, but I think that Dripping Gold showed that he can handle this sort of thing up in New York and did so when he was kind of fighting with Jose Lezcano. And this horse has enough speed to get himself into the mix, so that 10-hole didn't worry me as much as the layoff, like you said. But I did find it interesting that Jose Ortiz rode 4 of these last time. He won on 2 of them, and he's on Dripping Gold. So I'm going to sort of follow him in a race where my options were torn one way or the other. I don't think there's a ton separating these as far as ability, but that caught my eye. So there must be something that he prefers about this horse to a couple of horses that he won on. I'm going to see what he has to offer down here in Florida because what he offered in New York was good enough for me.
And this is almost a little bit like deja vu because yesterday Jose Ortiz won on Value Engineering, a mile and 3/8 from the 10 post position. So he can get it done. He's very good at timing these races up in a good way here. And the number 1 experienced, this is a horse that doesn't have a lot of experience for being named that, only 5 starts. But it has a little bit of back class, and I think could get a piece of it coming second off the layoff as well. Has that tightener under the belt here. And to end the card, this is a very competitive race, a mile and a 16th, maiden special weight here. And this is a race that you've got a stat, I've got a replay. We'll show the replay really quickly on the number 7 here. This is King's Secret. Here she is on the rail, and the rail post was her first out. She looked like she was going to shoot through this hole and be gone, goodbye, and it hit her.
Yeah.
A whole flock of them hit her. And it was a really incredible run from the get-go up into that point here. And I think that if you're just looking at the form and you're looking at the running lines, you can't see a kind of how bad that was to kind of knock her off her feet. Now, I will say this. She is my single to end the whole thing today, but this is a filly that she's growing into herself quite a bit. These Kingmans, they can, I feel like they hit growth spurts at interesting times, and I think that this is a filly that's actually kind of hitting a little bit of a growth spurt right now. So we'll see what we get from her today. I think she can only improve off of that, and, you know, like I said, we'll see what we get, but hoping for a cleaner trip. I like the 7 post position here, and I'm glad you have her as well. I'll let you pronounce the 8 because I'm not going to try.
Well, yeah, Preya Touche, I guess I might say. I don't know. That's up to you, Pete. I will not get 20 to 1 on that horse like you will in your anchor, but this horse is going to be 8 to 1, and she comes from a stable that can turn out firsters. They're very, very good at getting together, that being Christophe Clement and Joel Rosario, with first-time starters on the turf. Now, they're 3 for 5 this year, and the only other filly that came from this camp, that being Moigler Stud, Love Appeals, did win at first asking. Now, this filly has taken a little bit more time. You don't see works that jump off the page at you, but still, she's drawn well enough, and I didn't see anything in any of those fillies that would, you know, grab my eye right away either. Yeah. They still put it together in the afternoon a lot quicker than they do in the morning, and he just knows how to get these horses ready. She's bred excellent to do such a thing.
Yes.
There's a very classy female family on this filly, and she also enters with a stablemate. Lots of things to like, but she concedes experience to your top pick, as well as to Sunbee on the inside, who might be one of the favorites. So there's questions to answer, but you'll get the right price, I think, in the process.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a wide open betting board for the finale, too. And if you're just playing this race flat, just kind of note the tote board action as well. That always can kind of lead you in the right direction. Mandatory pick 6 payout today. We're not finished yet. We've got a fantastic lightning round that Ron put together for us here today. Like we said, mandatory payout. It'll be exciting. We'll all be posting our tickets and kind of trying to get everybody involved and guiding you through. Over $6 million estimated in the gross jackpot. It'll go way more than that. There's probably going to be a huge money dump.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big dumps all day. 8 to 10 million, something in that neighborhood is very likely, especially given this sequence. If you can make it all the way through, handicap it in time, there's going to be a lot of money on the line.
There is. And with that money that you make from winning the mandatory pick 6 today, on Wednesday, we go to a 12:40 post time from here on out, unless otherwise noted. So 12:40, make sure that you put that in your calendars, a little extra sleep for the Sleeping Beauty, Brian.
I can't say it any better than that. Okay, yeah, I'm sure he's napping back in the office right now. Wake up, it's almost your turn.
Coast to Coast Pick 5 is back today as well. We've got races from here, races from Santa Anita, 3 from Santa Anita today, 2 from Gulfstream Park, 15% takeout, a $1 minimum. I went 4 out of 5 yesterday, Angela.
I didn't even bother, but, you know, if you look at the Coast to Coast sequences, they incorporate a lot of different things, kind of like the Pick 6. There's not just one sort of race involved in it. Yeah. Sometimes there's very lucrative stakes, but like she mentioned, low takeout, high minimum. It's the way to go, and those pools do get big. So keep an eye on that. You know, if you're sitting on a pick 6 and you're itching to do something else, it's a very good option, and it usually pays very well.
It did. It paid $11,000 yesterday, and that was with Forte, which if you were sold on him, I mean, that was my single. I missed it with Darth Vader, but yeah.
You weren't alone.
Yeah, exactly. It got a lot of people. Your long shot today.
Yeah, my long shot's all that's left. It's Gooch Cobra. I'm going to take Gooch Cobra and hope that he stays near 6 to 1 in race number number 8. My best bet did scratch. I believe that you were on the scratch board. 3 out of our 4 best bet long shots all taken off the table, but see if Guchko Bra can add a price into all of your horizontal sequences. I think he's got a big shot today.
Yeah, he really does. We'll see how it goes, hoping for a little bit of a better effort. And speaking of long shots, we keep mentioning Darth Vader. She is on the way to the Kentucky Oaks. Here she was at 45 to 1. She just did this so easily, it looked like, Angela.
And she didn't beat tomato cans in the process either.
No.
There were nice fillies running behind her, and she didn't just beat them. She left them in the dust.
Right.
Darth Vader returns to form in a big way, and we will keep an eye on her to see how she handles the distance in the Kentucky Oaks, because obviously the momentum's there. She looked like a good thing yesterday.
She did. And in the finale yesterday, he's back. Forte, 2-year-old champion, has now punched his ticket to the Derby. He was just so impressive here as well, Angela.
Do you think that Todd Pletcher could have drawn it up any better for what he would have wanted out of Forte in the Fountain of Youth going forward towards the Derby? I mean, you didn't have to get to the bottom of him. He still won impressively. He looped around horses. I think that prep checked a lot of boxes for him.
It did. I'm excited to see who comes back. And if he comes back for the Florida Derby, it'll be a very exciting time between now and our Florida Derby. That's the first weekend of April. As far as the rest of today goes, I will be with you. Angela will be with you. Brian will as well. I guess we'll throw him in. And we've got Claudia. I guess we got to have a man in here.
Yeah, Ron couldn't take it. Couldn't take the pressure of a mandatory payout. So then he tried to put it on you. But we'll try to hold everything together in his absence.
Good luck, everybody, today. And don't forget, mandatory pick 6 starts in race 6. Good luck.
Introducing the first racing tool from Pegasus to Preakness. Iconic venues. World-class racing. Millions at stake. New champions will be crowned. Only at first.